Back in a time known as 2008, Call of Duty World at War was released. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. While you were still going to elementary school, picking your nose and rubbing it on your friend's hat, or maybe you weren't even born yet, Treyarch was working on the 5th installment of Call of Duty with the classic campaign and multiplayer, and the first modern-day Treyarch installment with features such as, running. While putting lots of strenuous time and effort into creating this, at the time, state-of-the-art game, the developers decided to make a small side mode to keep them occupied during their downtime. Now, this side mode was never meant to be anything more than that, a side mode for the developers to play when they got bored. However, Treyarch liked the side mode so much, they decided to attach it to the end of the game's campaign as an Easter egg. The side mode, of course, was zombies.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the first episode of what is hopefully going to be a very long series on the channel, Rewind and Reflect, and today we are talking about the first zombies map, Nacht Der Untoten. Now, this is not an original idea by any stretch of the imagination. It is basically a play on the retrospective series that I believe was first done by Tim Hansen, and then the first one I saw was by the Smith Plays or Patrick. So shout out to both of those guys for lack of a better word, inspiring me to do this or giving me the idea to do this. But yeah, obviously we're going to go into chronological order. We're going to start here at Nacht and go all the way up to BO6. Maybe I'll play BO7 one of these days. We'll see. We're talking Treyarch. We're talking non-Treyarch. We're not talking Vanguard, because why would I put myself through that? But it should be a series that lasts quite a while. It took me a long time to make this, so you can show your support by liking or subscribing or doing whatever, just 2 clicks. But with that said, let's rewind and reflect. You drove them deep into the heart of the Reich. You thought they were dead. You were wrong. The intro cutscene for Nacht Der Untoten was simple yet impactful. It's easy to forget that this was our first look at zombies. We had no idea what was running toward us in the fog, and for the younger generation that COD appealed to at the time, this was horrifying. The pure simplicity of this cutscene displays the simplicity of the experience that awaits the players in this map compared to other future titles. As the Smith Plays would say, weighing in at a staggering 1 Nacht Der Untoten, this is the second smallest map of all time, but we'll get to World War II one of these days. The reason Nacht Der Untoten was so small wasn't only because of the limited amount of manpower working on it. It also wasn't because it was just meant to be a small side project. It's because they didn't expect us to play zombies the way we play it today. They wanted it to play as a tower defense type game, where you try to keep the zombies out for as long as possible. Now, obviously things have changed a lot since then, but yes, this was originally meant to be a tower defense game. That's why there are only 3 rooms unlocked. You spawn in one room with 2 very cheap and ineffective weapons to keep the zombies out. The 2 paths you can take by opening a door or clearing debris lead you to rooms with more powerful, useful features that we'll go over later, and better, more expensive weapons. This small and simple layout actually displays a key factor for zombies moving forward, and tower defense games in general: progression. You start out with a measly pistol that doesn't do much damage. After getting a couple kills, you're able to buy a rifle off the wall that does a little more damage. As you move through the map, you're able to get better weapons that help you survive to keep out the ever-growing hordes and health of the zombies. One of Nacht Der Untoten's most defining features would be its atmosphere. Nacht has one of the best and most distinguishable vibes of any zombies map, taking place in a small building in the middle of an abandoned German airstrip. The fog on the map creates a barren and creepy atmosphere. Unlike future installments such as Transit and Call of the Dead, it doesn't take away from the gameplay. It's eerie to watch the zombies emerge from this thick coat of fog, and it adds to the horror atmosphere the developers were going for, rather than those future maps, where fog is used to hinder the player's vision, a very controversial feature that will be discussed once we reach that part of the series. The writing on the walls of this crumbling building creates great ambience while also displaying obvious symbolism and telling a message. You are not the first unfortunate soul to arrive here and be battle-tested against the undead. The phrases, "salvation lies above," and "you must ascend from darkness," encourage the player to purchase the debris and explore more of the map, while also contributing to the creepy tones of the map. These phrases became so iconic, they were later used in other assets of the COD franchise, the former becoming the name of the Nacht Der Untoten Easter egg, and the latter becoming a phrase of the GOAT Viktor Reznov in the Black Ops 1 campaign.
What is step 2?
The word help on this door in the spawn room also remains iconic, as this door will forever be known to the zombies community as the help door, which leads to the, you guessed it, help room. Overall, Treyarch did an excellent job reaching its goal with this first display of zombies. As the titles move on, the creepiness and horror ambience of zombies becomes a much less important factor to the franchise in favor of map features, Easter eggs, and general gameplay. That factor allows Nacht Der Untoten, and most of World at War zombies for that matter, to remain a critical staple in zombies in its horror-driven roots. Many of the features we all know and love made their start on Nacht Der Untoten. One of those features is obviously the wall weapons. When you first spawn into the map, one of the first things you'll notice are the chalk outlines of guns on the wall. Once you have a satisfactory amount of points, you can purchase one of the 2 purchasable guns on the wall in the spawn room, which in Nacht are the Kar 98K for 200 points and the M1 Carbine for 600. And trust me, you get what you pay for with these. Once you have the gun, you are now able to purchase ammo off the wall for the weapon where you first purchased it, typically coming out to about half of what you initially paid for it. As you progress through the map, you'll see better wall weapons become available for a higher price. The game's best weapons are often not found on the wall, however. They are in a feature called the Mystery Box. The Mystery Box, as we all know, is where many gambling addictions began. You can purchase the box for 950 points to get a random weapon that can vary substantially in quality. You could get something very nice and fun to use, like a deployable Browning, or maybe you could wind up with something like the Panzer Shrek. Or perhaps you could get the iconic renowned debut ray gun. The ray gun was so mysterious to us as kids. We had no idea what this alien weaponry was. We now know it as the first implementation of a wonder weapon, which will end up appearing on every zombies map. The ray gun is a small pistol-esque gun that shoots out deadly lasers and rays that are extremely powerful and effective on the zombies. The ray gun also functions as an explosive weapon, however, which can be detrimental to the player, as it can create crawling zombies, which may prove to be troublesome, or may damage the player themselves, resulting in what is known as splash damage. In this way, the ray gun is very risk-reward, yet is extremely effective when used properly. A really cool story you probably haven't heard about the ray gun comes from its creator, Maxwell Porter, the weapon designer for World at War. In an interview, he claimed he was trying to build something that felt like a toy but also a weapon. He originally designed the ray gun without the knowledge of the game mode zombies. When he heard talks of a third game mode, he asked those who worked on it if they'd like to include his weapon, and thus, the ray gun made its first appearance in the mystery box. According to Porter, when the devs were testing out the game, they would often recite the classic, "I got the ray gun," upon obtaining the weapon.
I got a ray gun in my hand, pop, 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 pop. Got a ray gun in my hand, pop, 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 pop.
Now let's advance to these shiny green gold thingies you've been seeing throughout the video thus far. These are what is known as drops. Drops randomly spawn on occasion when killing zombies, and are also found in every map after Nacht. Nacht introduces the 4 original drops, being max ammo, which fills your ammo, double points, which doubles the points per shot or kill you get, insta-kill, which makes all the zombies a one shot or one knife, or the nuke, which kills all the zombies currently on the map instantly. These are known as the original 4 drops, as more will appear in future maps and games. So if wall weapons, the mystery box, the ray gun, and drops all return in pretty much every other game, what are some features that are unique to Nacht? It's actually a pretty decent segue into unique features, as we will continue talking about drops here. Up until rather recent installments, Nacht remained the only map that displayed a timer for insta-kill and double point drops. Going forwards, the only way a player is able to determine how much time is left for their 30-second power-up is by checking how fast the symbol is blinking on the bottom of the screen. I wish I could tell you why they removed this useful feature, but they don't have it on the internet. I can't find it anywhere. On top of having timers on the drops, this is also the only map where getting 2 double points stacks to create quadruple points. This feature was removed for future installments for more obvious reasons. As mentioned earlier, there are 3 unique rooms to Nacht Der Untoten, consisting of the spawn room, the help room, and the upstairs portion. I feel like we've already gone over the spawn room in depth, and you've seen that the mystery box is in the help room. So what could possibly be upstairs? Oh, jeez, we gotta talk about that damn thing. This is the sniper cabinet, everybody. The sniper cabinet is purchasable for 1,500 points, and inside is a scoped Kar 98K? It's not really explained how or why, but surprisingly, this thing does more damage than the actual Kar 98K you get off the wall in the spawn room. Unfortunately, though, that's not saying much, and the only real reason to ever purchase this thing is as a joke, or for a real challenge, or perhaps to trick your friends into purchasing it. Different versions of Nacht actually have different things in the sniper cabinet. The most useful thing you'll find in this thing is in the mobile version of the game, where you can obtain the M2 flamethrower, a preferred weapon of high rounders on this map. I'd say, though, the sniper cabinet's real purpose is to troll new players by being like, oh, there's like a really cool gun in there, but then, it's just the sniper. World at War Nacht is without a doubt the most bare-bones map of all time, and lacks many features that will come with future zombie installments, even many in the next map. World at War did a fantastic unintentional job of slowly building zombies into the classic mode it became in BO1 and BO2, slowly adding features throughout the 4 maps that are on the game. So now that we've gone over the map's features, let's go over the typical gameplay and strategies that players used and still use today when reloading this classic experience. Nothing screams classic zombies like loading up some old Nacht Der Untoten strategies, most namely the camping spot on top of the stairs. If you purchased this couch leaving the spawn room back in the day, your team would turn on you faster than a zombie can double swipe you.
And rightfully so!
Keeping these stairs barricaded allows the player to camp in the corner near the grenade wall by and focus on the zombies coming straight at them from the door ahead, with a limited threat of zombies coming from this nearby window. This classic strategy that most players grew to use in the first few months of the zombie's existence were primarily used with LMGs and the ray gun, as they allowed you to hold your ground and constantly fire, and the weight of the LMGs not mattering, as you aren't moving. The Thompson is a great secondary for this, and all strategies on Nacht Der Untoten, to be honest. Costing 1,200 points on the wall, despite the prompt clearly saying 1,500, this weapon is mobile and reloads quick, allowing for decent backup when you need to reload your LMG. The best part about the Thompson on Nacht is that it is a wall weapon, meaning, of course, you can constantly purchase ammo for it throughout the game. After the community established training, and that's all I will be calling it, after the release of Shinonuma, a few more strategies were found, which proved to be far more useful on a lot of maps, including Nacht. Training is the act of running in a predetermined path repeatedly to group zombies up behind you without getting hit. This quickly became the ideal way to get to higher rounds on virtually every map in Zombies, as it accounted for reloading weapons and ensuring you don't get trapped in a corner, a key weakness to camping. This is also very preferable on Nacht, as this is the only map without swiping zombies. In order to be hit on the original version, World at War Nacht, the player had to be standing completely still, meaning that as long as you were moving and training the zombies, you were pretty much untouchable. Now, it's also very easy in this game and this map to get grabbed by the zombies and get hugged if you go too close, but that's a discussion for later. My favorite area for training on Nacht is in the spawn room, which ended up turning the original map strategy completely on its head, as this train required you to keep the help door closed and open the debris on the stairs. I've always found this very interesting when going back to Nacht, as you and your team can decide whether you'd like to open the help door to eventually camp on the stairs, or move the debris to set yourselves up in a position to train. The help room is also a decent spot to bunker down and train on co-op if one person takes over the spawn room train, as training is typically more of a one-person strategy rather than a group effort. Adding more than one person to a zombie train would do nothing more than mess up the zombies' paths and eventually lead to somebody going down. The world record for Nacht Der Untoten is set at an astonishing round 8,817 by World at War legend Krups. get used to that name for these World at War videos. He performs this training in the help room using a flamethrower, as the flamethrower has no ammo limit and provides consistent damage to the zombies. The flamethrower is easily the most viable weapon for those wishing to go above round 30 on World at War Nacht, as by then the zombie health would be far too high for ammo-limited weapons to make an impact. I personally have always preferred the spawn room train, as its figure 8 path is really fun to use, and I've found that I often get cut off when I train in the help room, but to each their own. I think it's awesome that such a small map with only 3 rooms has so many different strategies to survive on, as it gives the map some replayability, which is a real issue on World at War, considering the maps don't have the features and depth of future installments of Call of Duty. But Nacht does a decent job, to be honest. There are a lot of things going for Nacht that make it a fun experience, yet also a frustrating experience. Nacht is easily one of the most glitchy maps of all time, most notably this strafe jump where you can perform to get up to this platform. There's also some glitch spots that make it so zombies can't touch you. These glitches are fun to pull off, yet obviously don't count toward legitimate high rounds. A lot of what makes Nacht great these days is nostalgia, a feel for an older map, and of course coding yourself in that classic zombies horror atmosphere we discussed endlessly earlier. The figure 8 train also is really fun to go back to and do every now and then for me, one of my favorite places to train in maybe all the zombies. But Nacht also has some real downsides. Aside from being the oldest and most bare bones map, which can also be a positive at times, it also has the most issues with zombie spawns and behavior. This map, like I mentioned earlier, is polarized with zombie hugging, which is when a zombie hits you once and hinders your movement to escape that lethal second blow. A down like this often feels unfair and is immensely aggravating. Nacht can also be annoying on solo when it comes to a 2-hit and you're done sense. No way to get a second chance, no way to increase your health. All it takes is a simple double swipe to reset you back to round 1, which can be very frustrating if you're anywhere above round 10. I would say easily, Nacht's biggest hindrance is how long early rounds take. You can spend up to 5 minutes on these early rounds alone, waiting for the zombies to meander all the way from their spawn points far outside the map to your location at the bunker. These rounds can drag on and take away from the desire to load up the map or reload it if you get double swiped at any point on a mid-tier round. All in all, Nacht has its good and bad moments, while most of its suffering comes from being so early in the franchise and having kinks that will later be worked out throughout the rest of World at War and the series itself. The story of Nacht doesn't even feature named characters, to be honest. This is going to be more of a section for later down the line in our series. It depicts 4 unnamed Marines surviving a plane crash on a German airstrip. They hold out against the undead until their untimely demise. Later iterations of Nacht do in fact have named characters, but their visit to the bunker is never explained and their appearance is likely to appeal to the masses of zombie fans. The bunker for Nacht Der Untoten is no stranger to remakes. In fact, it appears 3 times in World at War alone. Once in the zombies map, obviously, once in the campaign mission Hard Landing, and once in the multiplayer map, Airfield. The bunker also reappeared in the BO2 map, Transit, nicknamed the Prototype, which I always thought was such a cool nickname for it, the Prototype. Get it? It also appears as the central area in the BO3 map, Revelations, which consists of the features of many old zombies maps, and in the Cold War map, D-Machine, coded in graffiti and finally granting the player permission to explore the grounds and underground section of the bunker. BO1 and BO3 also had their own direct recreations of Nacht Der Untoten, adding in new small features such as perks, gobblegums, and other advanced features we'll be going over later. BO1 includes a new wonder weapon and a side Easter egg with its iteration of Nacht Der Untoten. Today, we're just going to go over the side Easter egg. If you recall, earlier I mentioned the quantity of red barrels outside the map on Nacht. On the BO1 and BO3 version, if all these barrels are shot, a song called Undone will begin to play. There are 28 barrels spread rather equally outside the windows and barriers of the building. The only way to know you've shot them all is if the song starts playing. This is called a music Easter egg, which, unless I'm forgetting something, every Treyarch map has going forwards. BO3 added an additional Easter egg that grants the player a max ammo. Around the bunker in the map, you can find 4 well-hidden buttons. Once they are all pushed, a Samantha doll will spawn on the floor in the spawn room. Hold X on her to start a sequence where you must find and shoot her 5 times in locations outside of the map. After the 5th shot, you can return to where you initially found the doll to retrieve a max ammo. BO3 also replaced the Kar 98K in the cabinet with a different sniper, being the Locust, and made the radio next to the mystery box play original zombie music when interacted with. All in all, I truly enjoy the change of pace that comes with all these different versions of Nacht. World at War retains that iconic OG feeling, as well as being the true version of the map. BO1 keeps almost everything the same while also polishing some issues and updating the gun variety. And then there's BO3, which comes under a lot of undeserved scrutiny for adding the state-of-the-art features to the map that thrived off of its bare-bones nature. It provides a modern-day feel and an easier nature to the map, which allows for a much more laid-back game and welcomes newer and perhaps, for a lack of a better term, worse zombies players to go to rounds that aren't possible for them on earlier iterations. Also, it's the only one you can get a quick revive on solo, which is a big deal for me in World at War. But here's the thing. We aren't ranking Nacht on this tier list based on its BO1 or BO3 version. We're ranking it based on its World at War version and how it holds up today, while remaining subjective to my opinion. We are now getting to the part where I'm going to rank the map. So let's discuss where it is going on a tier list. I think that it is a high C tier map. I think going back to it, like I said, is still really fun. The atmosphere is one of the best in zombies. Being bare bones, people like to say that works against the map, which it does, but it also works for the map if you're in the mood for something like that. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to go ride a dragon on Garad Crovey or do advanced stuff. I just want to load into a map and kill zombies, and it's creepy, it's cool, it's a good experience, especially like late at night or introducing someone to like the horror aspects of the game. Nacht Der Untoten does a good job at that, and it's one of the only maps that like I think nobody has an issue with the fog, because there's so much fog on the map and no one complains about it really. And I don't know, I think Nacht Der Untoten in these days is underrated because everyone talks about how bare bones it is, like it's a bad thing, but yeah, I think it's a great experience and a C tier map. Well, that is all. Finally, I was able to sit down and piece this thing together, and it sure took a lot of time and a lot of work. So make sure to like and subscribe for the next part. I'll tell you what, after doing this myself, I have so much respect for the zombies creators that put this kind of effort into their content weekly. This is strenuous. Make sure to let me know what I could do better going forward with the series so I can make it the best it could possibly be. And with that, till next time.